Hey my little geeklings, what is up? So, I have decided to make a newer, not so new content on my channel. I've noticed that a lot of people like telling creepy horror stories on YouTube, and since I'm a lover of the horror genre, I decided, why not? I am so into this stuff. So I'm going to read 4 allegedly true horror stories from Reddit No Sleep. Our first story is called The Guy Who Owns the Candy Shop by M.R. Stories. This happened back in 1973 when I was a 9-year-old girl. I lived in a small town in northern part of the U.S. There wasn't much to do around there, and as a small town goes, this one was exceptionally boring. The only things we did were attend church and go to school. My parents in particular were so strict that they didn't even let me play outside. We didn't own a TV either. This was actually somewhat common in those days, specifically around religious households, since it was before the Christian channels were invented. So my only source of entertainment was supposed to come from the Bible. I used to spend hours looking at the neighborhood kids play outside while pretending to read the good book. It was a pandemonium out there. Those damn kids were so loud that I just couldn't ignore them. Every now and then one of them would scream, "Look it!" at the top of his lungs whenever he saw something interesting. Then a whole mob of them would come running to him, forming a huge circle around whatever he was pointing at. "Gross," someone would always add. "Kill it, kill it," another one would scream. No, eat it," the oldest one would say, and they would all burst out laughing. That joke always seemed to work, no matter how many times he said it. It was probably because on one occasion, one of the boys actually did eat it. So saying "eat it" must have triggered them to recall a memory they remember fondly. I just remember vomiting. Looking back on it, I would have probably been no fun to play with. I was a very timid child, so I would always do whatever my parents asked of me and never talk back to them in any way. On occasion, my mom would reward my siblings and I by taking us to the local candy shop and letting us pick out whatever we wanted. I always loved going to the candy shop. It was always a tightly kept secret whenever my mom decided to take us there. That is to say, she would never let us know ahead of time. We always drove by there on our way to and from school. So whenever my mom decided to take the right turn and go to the candy store parking lot, it always came as a big welcome surprise to all of us. I think she did it just to see the excited looks on our faces. We wanted to scream out in joy every time, but we knew better than to do anything that might want to make her turn the car around. So we tried to keep the excitement to ourselves as best as we could. When one of us would let out the occasional whimper, it was a signal the others used their hands to cover our mouths so that we didn't let out an excited scream. We never left the car until everyone was completely quiet. Once inside, the owner of the candy shop would always compliment my mom on how well-behaved we were. He always complimented me in particular for being the oldest and setting a good example for the young ones. I remember thinking, what a nice old man he was whenever I saw him. The only words I ever uttered to him was, "Thank you." He always gave me an extra treat free of charge for being such a nice girl. That was always the best part. He always said that I reminded him a lot of his own daughter. I didn't really like the compliment very much because he would always see his daughter glaring at me through the window whenever we would leave the store. I remember thinking that she was such a jerk for not ever saying hi to us, and she always had this angry look on her face too. That was the worst part. But I put up with it because I knew that if I'd say anything, my mom would have stopped taking us there. Years later, when I became an adult, and on a whim I decided to take my own kids to the old candy shop, I was surprised to see that the owner was still alive and friendly as ever. We stroked up a little conversation while my kids ran around browsing the aisles. Eventually, the conversation turned to him asking about my kids. I told him who they were and how old they were, and so on. And to my surprise, he still remembered how when I was around their age. His vivid recollection made me feel nostalgic. I honestly got a little teary-eyed. Those were truly great memories we shared. On the way out, my curiosity made me ask about his daughter. What he said sent chills running down my spine. What do you mean? She's been dead since '64. I was trembling like crazy, but somehow to manage to utter one last thank you before rushing my kids out the door. Needless to say that I did not turn to look back once. I let out a huge sigh of relief, pushing all of my kids into the car. I was trembling as I turned the key to start the car ignition. The oldest boy said, "Hey Mommy, there's a girl staring at you from the window." And after that, I never went back there. Number 2, the day I stopped existing. Obsidian nightmare. Even writing this is dangerous for me, but I need to get it out there. I need people to know that this exists, that we exist. And I'm sure there will be skeptics and non-believers. I see them every day, even when they don't see me. Skeptics or wrong convictions come a dime a dozen. And let me tell you, that's what they want. They want you to question everything. They want you to put your faith in the wrong things and the wrong people. It serves their agenda or whatever. Let me start off by saying that I was one of you at one point. I questioned if the earth was flat. I questioned the dimension I lived in. I questioned if there truly was a God or a higher being. I needed those questions to get me through life, to comfort me with death, to give me meaning to my life. I thought I had it all figured out, which turned into the confidence that I had none of it figured out. None of us did. I believed I was on a different wavelength than most people. I was better than those with a blind faith in a God that never loved as much as he claimed. And I knew better than the others who neglected even the notation of something other going on. I was open-minded. I was critical. I was wrong. I didn't come from a weird family or a weird place. I was born in a suburban area, working class. My father worked in a high-paying job. My mother worked as a graphic designer. I lived comfortably enough to have what I needed, yet I wasn't wealthy enough to evade longing for the things I wanted but couldn't afford. I was average, in every sense of the term. No weird uncle touched me growing up. I didn't have some voodoo grandma who would sit in a rocking chair and tell me eerie stories about things she had experienced in life. Nothing, absolutely nothing about me outwardly pointed to me being special or any more exceptional than anyone else. I grew up, graduated with a 3.0 GPA, went on to college, and eventually began working a job from 9 to 5. I didn't particularly enjoy drinking and drugs and never had interest in me. Even in college, most of my time was spent alone, but I didn't mind that much. I was an only child growing up, and being a shy, introverted type, I actually valued peace and quiet more than most. But of course, somewhere down the line, I began to feel stuck within a routine that I couldn't break. I felt as if I were on autopilot, reliving the same boring day over and over again, with no exciting sequence of events. It's almost comical how much I miss those days. Now, let me tell you about my day leading up to my disappearance, if you can even truly call it that. I decided to go out for my lunch break instead of choosing to be cooped up in the office for the whole hour and a half. It was a fairly nice day out, and I kind of knew of a new bookshop that had opened down the road, so I decided to check it out. After making my way out of the small office building, things started to get a tad weird. I knew the side and crosswalks were littered with people making their way to their own destinations. But as I trudged through the small crowded walkways, I began to feel eyes on me. It was a slight feeling at first, a tingle running through the back of my neck, and I dropped my eyes to the pavement as I trudged on. But with each passing block, the sensation intensified, and I became more and more anxious. After 3 blocks of this, I managed to look up in front of me, and my steps slightly faltered when I made eye contact with no less than 20 people spaced throughout the crowd. Each person stopped dead in their tracks, staring at me. Their shoulders wobbled as the passerbys bumped into their still forms, but still they remained motionless as they continued to watch me. My anxiety piped up a bit, and I threw an awkward smile to the lady stopped closest to me as I passed. She didn't smile back. In fact, she didn't react at all. She didn't even flinch. The bookshop was only another 2 blocks away, but with each step I took, I found more frozen people amongst the horde of individuals stopping to watch me pass by them. Nervously, I quickened my pace, muttering "excuse me" and sorries as I pushed my way further down the walk. I kept my eyes focused inwards towards the line of buildings, looking for the A-board sign that I had seen on the bus ride to work that morning. After 10 more minutes of walking, I sighed of relief as the little blackboard came into view. As I got closer, I noticed it had read "Grand Opening" in white chalk, sporting a small yellow balloon already beginning to droop, tied to it. Heaving the door open, I rushed into the surprisingly dim-lit room. The shop was small, quaint, and deserted. Not that the lack of occupants had surprised me. Philadelphia was a big city, and small businesses tended to go unnoticed most of the time. There were short bookshelves cluttering the window right by the entrance, and I quickly began pursuing them, nearly forgetting the odd people that had been gawking at me on the street. "You like to meditate?" a soft feminine voice called out from behind me, startling me a bit. I whipped around, coming face to face with a short brunette girl who didn't appear to be more than 20 years of age. "Didn't Peggy the type?" I blushed, looking down at the book with my hand, placing it back on the shelf and straightening my tie. I just dabbled here and there." She nodded in return, making her way towards the back of the room, towards the sales counter. Now, normally I'm not the sort of guy who strikes up conversation with strangers, especially women, but something compelled me to talk to this shopkeeper. "So, how's opening day going?" I asked. The woman lifted her head from a small sheet in front of her, her eyes narrowing as they met mine. But she said nothing. I shot her a tight-lipped smile, figuring she didn't like speaking, and looked back down towards the small stand of what looked like custom-made jewelry. "Do you want a job?" I balked a laugh at the joke, but when I looked back, the woman stood stone-faced. I coughed up, "No thank you, I have one." I remember thinking it was weird that she asked in the first place. I had looked like I was in need for work. I had to know, so I asked. "You don't like following the script?" she commented suspiciously, golden brown eyes never wavering as she watched me fiddle with a small necklace. What the fuck that meant? I had no idea. But at this point, I wasn't feeling up to any more chit-chat. I politely thanked the woman for the offer and made my way out of the shop, feeling her eyes watching me as I went. The rest of my lunch break went fine. No weird street gawkers followed as I headed over to the deli across from my office building and got a small hoagie and a Coke. I ate in relative silence on the outside patio, listening to horns blare and babies cry, the usual hustle and bustle. When I finished, I threw my trash in the bin and returned to work, as usual. As I lay in bed that night, I briefly thought back to the petite bookshop saleswoman and what she had said to me. You don't like following the script, I scoffed, chuckling softly to myself. All I've ever done in my whole life was follow the damn script. I've always followed what I've been told to do, and thought hard about whatever I was told to think. I thought sourly about that fact for a bit, before pushing it out of my mind and settling comfortably into bed to meditate before I fell asleep. I keep thinking about what I could have done to prevent this. This entire day rolls around in my mind in a constant loop. I've analyzed the whole 24 hours and reanalyzed it. I don't know what I could have done differently. I don't even know what fucking triggered it. Maybe I shouldn't have gone to that damn bookshop. Maybe I shouldn't even fall asleep that night. I don't know, but nothing, not a damn thing could prepare me for that day after that. It was the day of no return. And truth be told, I still don't know how I feel about it. I don't know whether to call it the worst day of my life or the best. Well, it's not the best, definitely not the best. And the most enlightening? Yes. The most life-changing? Absolutely. But never the best. Never that, because it's the day I learned that everything is a lie. Every single day. There is no such thing as fate. There is no such thing as peace. There isn't even such thing as fucking death, because there is only us. Just us. We run the show and we're stuck. And you won't see us. none of you. You go past us each and every day. I see you. I see when you're excited, and sad, and happy, and even aroused. But you don't know. And I know this because neither did I. I woke up as usual the following morning, and the first thing that I noticed was my alarm clock wasn't working. I mean, it went off, but I was awake. But it was blanked out in bright red 0, 0, 0, 0 across the entire thing. At the time, I was annoyed and ticked off, but still glad I wouldn't be late for work. I hopped in the shower and threw a pair of dress pants on and a buttoned shirt and headed out. I sat at the bus stop, keeping my distance from a group of 10 so rowdy kids. When it pulled up behind, I quickly boarded, glad that it hadn't already been full to capacity, and pulled out my usual Sudoku puzzle. I was about halfway done by the time I looked up and noticed my stop was approaching. Reaching up, I tugged the small wire that indicated an intent to stop. But I heard no small ding that it had been received. So what did I do? I tugged harder, not wanting to have to embarrass myself by screaming to the front of the bus, but still, no indication sound did that as I was watching my stop get closer and closer. "Excuse me," I called out, my cheeks heating up a bit, but the driver ignored me and continued on his way. "Excuse me," I called again, louder this time. There was no way he hadn't heard me that time, as the bus was fairly empty, sans as a few stragglers at the back, but still, the driver continued to trudge right past the stop as if I wasn't even there. I looked around, my eyes landed on a small elderly lady sitting a few feet from me, clutching her purse to her lap, looking content. "Do you think he heard me?" I asked her, panicked, but she also continued to ignore me as if I hadn't been standing right in front of her. Just as I began my way up the aisle towards the driver, a familiar ping sounded, followed by a feminine, robotic voice calling out the name of the street. I froze, looking back. The woman had just been ignored by. Her hands still clutched on the small rope as I had viciously tugged on. I froze for a second as the bus slowed down, but cleared my throat out a small thank you as I traipsed down the steps and began speed walking to my building's entrance. I got to the floor of my office and nearly out of breath, and barely even registered the change until I stepped through the elevator. What was once a moderately decorated office dressed in dull blue and beiges was now wiped clean. Everything was white, and I mean pristine white. Everywhere, the floors were white, the ceiling was white, the walls, the furniture, the desk, and the phones, everything. I stepped through and squinted, shaking my head. I thought I perhaps got off at the wrong floor, and I turned back towards the lift. But it was gone, just gone, replaced by an untouched white wall. It didn't make sense. I thought I was dreaming. I tried my usual tricks that I go for my lucid dreaming. Almost immediately, I counted my fingers. I pulled up my Sudoku and read the words on the page. I glanced at my watch, but the hands on it were gone, just gone. In fact, there wasn't even numbers in there anymore. I looked around frantically for a wall clock or anything that could tell me the time, but found no trace of any public time-keeping device anywhere. That's when I noticed. I didn't know any of these people. I had worked the same job in the same building for over 8 years, and now I knew everyone quite well. Hell, I went to Jan and Rick's wedding for fuck's sake. But as I glanced around those around me, I saw not a single person who even looked familiar. So I did the logical thing. I reached out and tapped a short Asian woman on the shoulder and asked her for the time. I don't know what was so important in that moment about me needing to know the time. But it was crucial. Truth be told, there were far more pressing issues, like the fact that my entire office floor has changed and an elevator vanished before my eyes. But I needed to find the time. It was important. A knowing look reached the woman's eyes and a smile crossed her face. "Kate, I'm glad you're here. I've been instructed to tell you that Kendra needs to see you in her office." What? Who the hell was Kendra? And how did this random lady know my name? Right. I was confused. And I must have looked as much because the small woman promptly pointed to a small door at the end of the hall. I guess I wasn't shocked at the time, but I said nothing more and allowed my feet to carry me to it and knocked firmly against the door. "Come in," a familiar voice called out, pushing open the door. I froze at Kendra, aka bookshop owner, stood facing me, a polite smile on her face. And this is where I should have fucking ran. I should have turned around, hauled my ass back out into the office, and started trying to bust down the walls. Oh, I should have jumped out the window if I could, but I didn't. The meeting is still fuzzy for me, as most meetings with the others are. They don't want you to know. They don't want you knowing too much, you see. They don't want you to retain any of it. In fact, most people, like me, don't remember any of it. Only enough to remember what our assignments are, our missions. But you see, I do. Maybe not clearly, maybe not word for word, but I remember. "Welcome to your first day, Kate," she said with a smile. "We're excited to have someone like you to join the team." I began to lower myself into the chair provided. My head was beginning to fuzz over. My brain felt like you would assume white noise would feel like. Soft little bubbles fuzzing their way throughout your head. I didn't want this position. I told Kendra no when she offered it to me. Only thing was, I had accepted it unknowingly. You see, when the young woman in the bookstore had asked if I wanted a job, and I had declined, she wasn't looking for my feelings on the matter. In fact, she didn't care about my answer at all, only on a personal level. No, she was checking the piece of paper set before her to see if I followed the script. I didn't. These are the bosses, the big guys. The others are the ones who decide everything for you. For me, the universe, they run the matrix. So to speak, time doesn't exist in this dimension, although it coincides with your own and thousands upon millions of others. It's as if we're on the other side of a two-way mirror, looking in on you in this world and the next, and so on. We cannot interact with you, but we have our ways of controlling you. We will stick songs in your head, we will copy, mimic you when the time is needed. Everyone is scripted. You, your dad, your sister, hell, even your dog. And those who aren't are either disposed of or brought on as a member of their team. Erased from history and existence, becoming this being. They call us the unseeables. And we do all the dirty work. If someone is not meant to exist in one dimension, we erase you from there. If your timeline is up, we remove you from all worlds. And, well, if you're ever caught leaving script, let's just say we aren't hiring much. So this story is very triggering. So I just wanted to warn you. So you will have to skip this story if you get triggered really easily. So yeah, this third story is called 911 Emergency Called by Lucid Antidote. I work for a 911 dispatcher's office. This is a phone call that we received earlier this week. I haven't been able to get a copy of the transcript until today. I've been doing this for 20 years, and this is the strangest call I've ever witnessed. I wanted to post the transcript and get your thoughts on what this could be. I have a couple different ideas myself, but I'm really looking for help. 911, what is your emergency? Hello, yes, it's my mommy. Can you help me? Your mommy? What's wrong with your mommy, sweetheart? She won't wake up. I'm in the living room and she is lying on the floor looking at the ceiling. How long has she been like that? Her eyes are open. She's just staring. She won't even blink. Sweetheart, how long has she been like this? I'm not sure. I came in the house early with dirty shoes. I tracked all the mud all over the house. She called me a demon and she hit me over the head. Are you okay? Do you know your address, honey? I'm okay. I woke up in the living room on the couch. My address is 123 S Parkway. Stay on the phone, sweetheart. One moment. Okay, we are sending help now. Is there anyone else in the house with you? No, just me and Mommy. Does Mommy look like she's breathing? Is her stomach or chest moving up or down? No, she has a needle in her arm. She usually just sits still when she has the needle in there. This time is just different. Maybe she didn't tie her arm right this time. Do you think that's it? Not sure, honey. Cop radio in. Dispatchers, be advised, we are just around the corner from the house. Do me a favor, buddy. Go outside and sit on the porch and wait for the police officer to arrive. They are just around the block. Okay, I'm putting my shoes on. Hopefully I didn't get more dirt on them. I don't want Mommy mad again when she wakes up. What's your name, honey? Decon. I'm walking outside right now. I'm waiting on the porch. Okay, Decon, the officers are pulling up. Do you see them? Hello, this is Officer Thompson. Please open the door. Officer 2. I'm looking through the window. Footsteps sound. Officer 2. Dispatch. Be advised. There is a body in the living room. No boy in sight. We are going to enter the home. Decon, honey, are you on the porch? Yeah. I am pleased to tell them. Please tell them to hurry. It's so cold. Officer 1. Dispatcher, be advised. We have a 187 lying in the hallway by the living room. One Caucasian male, age 10, boy is wearing blue jeans and a white shirt, dirty white Nike shoes, and one Caucasian female in a house dress, apparently overdose. Sound of static, then the phone off. So this one had to do with overdose, so that's why I didn't want you guys to read it or hear it if you get triggered. And number 4, The Clatter by Scott Van, 2001. I don't believe in ghosts, or spirits, or demons, or monsters, or so on and so forth. I'm not going to get into any of those details. It's just my personal beliefs. But this night I had 2 years ago while I was still in college, it really bothers me. It gets under my skin to where I'm not sure my beliefs anymore. Well, anyways, I was walking from my English class home. It was in the winter, but it was one of those days where there wasn't much snow on the ground, and it was warmer than what it feels like it should be in the winter. But the snow wasn't melting or anything of that sort. It didn't feel right. Something was off. And it kind of set off a minor trigger within you that pulls off a red flag that something bad was going to happen. But I was an adult, so I had to carry my college cockiness and act like nothing was going to happen. I was wrong. While I was walking back to my dorm, it was the south of the building which my English class was in. I didn't have the most money, so I saved as much money as possible to not pay for gas and just walk places. It wasn't so bad, and it gave me more time to think. But I was between the dorm building A and dorm building C. I lived in the West Wing, about 5 or 6 blocks away from the current positions, and 7-Eleven was only a few blocks out of the way, just off campus. And I had no snacks at my dorm, so I figured I could just bust a few bucks out, get some snacks. So I started walking down the West Wing Street, which 7-Eleven was just off of. While I was walking down the street, I saw a man. It was a man I could tell because of his style. He had some torn jeans, not the stylish kind. More like as if he'd been working in them, and things happen, they got torn up. He also had a leather jacket that looked as if it may have been expensive when he first bought it, but it had definitely seen better days than currently. But the thing that had set me off was his hair. It was sticking out of the gray hood he'd had on, and it was red. Not the gingerish kind of red that is natural. It was blood red. And the more I looked at his hair, he looked as if he was chewing on something pretty ferociously, and the harder I looked, his jawline was almost too long to be normal. He got closer, passing me as I could hear his teeth clicking like a pencil on a table. It was honestly happening to be damaging his teeth, but when I thought about his teeth, I realized that he had a serious lack of lips, and he was smiling so wide and extended back beyond his cheeks and hitting his abnormally long jawline. But it was right around this moment where I really freaked out. I noticed I wasn't moving. I was mid-step with my arm out, as most would while to make a step. I think I may have been stuck like this for maybe 5 minutes by now. The guy passing me kept moving, uttering his teeth, smiling. His wicked smile was made worse by the size of his teeth. They were thick and looked almost like cinder blocks. They could seriously clamp down on something and mess them up. He was across the street from me, and he turned his neck, only his neck, with a smile still able to be seen, as wide as his lower half of his face. He reminded me of a nutcracker, and it was the scariest nutcracker I'd ever seen. He started advancing across the street closer to me. I was not able to move. My body had been locked in the position like I was trying to move under 3,000 pounds of sand. He was on top of me now, my heart beating at least 300 times a minute. I tried my hardest to move anything to get away from him. He got in my face while opening and closing his mouth. His hood was off now, though I wasn't sure when he'd taken it off. His hair was a mess of greasy and long red hair. It was the color of a stop sign, not normal. He got an inch in front of my face. I tried speaking. I couldn't move my lips, so all that came out was a moan. He spoke in between his teeth, clattering still though. The death of the weak shall be saved until the strong have died first. He disappeared. Vanished. I made a U-turn and ran all the way home. I've never ran so fast in my life. So this was like the first time I've actually read like stories on this, so don't judge about like how I'm losing my voice and how I've been stuttering a bit. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more of these types of videos, please comment down below, subscribe, and like my video. I will post post as much as I can, and I hope you guys enjoy.